Hello and welcome to the GeekVerse podcast, episode 533. Also, GeekVerse Side Quest episode, I don't know, I don't count. Kind of a little bit of a crossover here, mix and mash. But it's going to be good one. I am the Adam Harcaster, Dylan Muss, and I have two people with me today. First, the release king himself, Kirklin Patzer. How you doing tonight?
I'm doing really good. I'm happy to be here, talk about some games coming up. Should be a fun time.
And then we're also joined by the console of consoles himself, Taylor Field. How's it going?
Oh, it's going pretty good, pretty good. Nice way to cap out before the new year swings in.
Yeah, today we are going to be doing the 2023 gaming preview. We did the movie preview just a few days ago, so go check that out. But yeah, also if you missed it, we did a ton of Game of the Year stuff, so go check that out. But that's already done. 2022 is over. We're looking ahead already. It's time to look at the big games, the big juicy games of 2023. And I'm sure many of these will get delayed, but we're going to talk about all that. Couple plugs beforehand. Of course, you can use that if someone's going to help me out with maybe some of these little banners here.
Oh, yeah.
But over here, yeah, join our Patreon. A lot of stuff popping off there, especially in the new year. We're going to announce some new things shortly, but make sure to check out Patreon to get episodes early, ad-free, exclusive episodes. Join us on After 9. We're also doing various like Golden Geeks, MCU Golden Geeks, things like that you can vote on. So if you want to vote on your favorite stuff of the year, you can go do that as well. And of course, our Patreon producers, Aaron Braden, April of Darkness, Joshua Wright. Thank you. We love you so much. I like this kind of purple circle thing. This is the side quest, decoration we got. It kind of changes things. I like it though.
It fits the logo of is that the OG GameCube, the purple one?
Oh, yeah.
Yes,
yeah, in my mind,
indigo,
it's the OG.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that color. Very nostalgic.
It's good stuff. And then also Manscaped, of course, use that code GVPOD to get free worldwide shipping for all those amazing products. So yeah, there we go. I don't know if I missed any plugs, but we're very relaxed. I think all of us are still on holidays here. Well, I know Kirkland is. Taylor, you still have the week off here? Or do you going back?
I'm
Nice.
smooth sailing right now.
Tell by that facial hair. He's got the vacation beard going.
Yeah.
It might be one of those kind of episodes, a little more chill, a little more laid back. So have some fun with us here. So let's get right into it. 2023, as I said, is coming up here. We're gonna go through it month by month with the releases. I'm gonna shout out the big things. If these guys have anything that I missed, they're gonna call it out as well. And then at the end, there's a bunch of things that are kind of slated for 2023, but don't have actual dates yet. So we'll just go through that stuff towards the end, and then we'll all pick kind of our top 5 most anticipated things that are coming out. So that'll be fun as well. At some point, we're also going to do our draft like we did last year. I have some ideas to shake up the format, but we're going to do that again. So look forward to that in the next couple weeks as well. But let's kick it off. The first big game of the year is actually very soon here at the end of January 20th, with Fire Emblem Engage. So I want to throw this over to Kirkland right away because I think you're still just plugging away through 3 houses. So I doubt you're going to be in the market for a new one already. I also don't know how much you've watched of trailers of this, but yeah, what are your thoughts on Fire Emblem Engage at the moment?
I completely forgot that's what it was called too. I read that, and I don't know why in my mind it just seems like one of those offshoot Fire Emblem titles. That's not to discredit it by any means, but yeah, it's the type of title. It's Fire Emblem Engage, all right, but yeah, I haven't looked too much into it other than that first initial video showcasing I guess the characters and kind of what it's all about bringing back the characters through time. Back in the one game. But yeah, I'm definitely not in a rush to get to this one. Fortunately, the Fire Emblem games on their own just have so much content within a single title. I've never even beaten a full Fire Emblem game. That's just how much time it actually takes to get through them.
I swear you've beaten Awakening. You still haven't beaten Awakening, eh?
I've gotten so far, Dylan. Yes, so far in those hours upon hours, but still not completed. But yeah, no, I'll probably get to this one eventually, just because I really love the Fire Emblem series. So yeah, I'm not in a rush for this one though.
Yeah. Taylor, any interest from you? It's not really your genre or your series, but any interest in that one?
I used to love Fire Emblem, and I haven't played any of the recent ones. My cousin had, I can't remember what it was called. It was on Game Boy Advance, I
Sacred
think.
Stones,
Probably
Blade,
Sacred
one of those
Stones. And I think that's what really kind of sold me. I loved it. I loved just the art style and how cool it was. And so I ended up getting, and I still have it actually.
What does he have behind him?
I got it behind me. Hang on one sec.
He's gonna go get it.
Hang on.
I didn't know he had this Fire Emblem history. I feel like he's
Me
never
neither.
mentioned this before. This is
All I
new
know is that he plays
information.
Marth on Melee. Oh, look at that
Oh.
right there.
Which
Shadow Dragon.
I hate to be that guy. That's like my least favorite Fire Emblem game. Is that one? I mean, it's a remake of the first one, so I think it's just quite a basic game. When I've played 6, 7, and everything after that, it feels a bit basic going back to it.
That's fair. This was the first one I got, my first one I got to really indulge in. I never played any of the GameCube ones, but I love Shadow Dragon. I thought it was a lot of fun, but I never played any other ones. I was going to get into Awakening. I remember talking about it, I think with both of you guys, and Kirklin was always just the grind, just always playing it back in Target days.
Still not beating it. Yeah.
Yeah.
All these years later.
I'm excited for this one. I don't know if I'll ever get around to it immediately, but I know watching Ruben play, I think the last one was it on Switch? It was very
Three Houses.
Yeah, very, very, very cool. It's changed drastically from what it used to be.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm a huge Fire Emblem head. I've played all the North American released games, which is like 10 games at this point, so I'm pretty deep in it. I'm planning on doing a little solo ranking episode of my Fire Emblem stuff before this game comes out, so look forward to that later on in January. But I got to say, I mean, I'm kind of just in, at this point, I've just been playing all of them, so I'm kind of looped in, or have to play the new ones, even if I'm not super interested. That kind of happened with Three Houses, where the marketing stuff wasn't really doing it for me, and I just heard so much praise. I'm like, I caved, I picked it up. So I think I'm going to be picking up Engage as well for sure. Although I'm not loving the kind of gimmicks of this one, the things they're trying to pitch with it, and what's new. Not really doing it for me. So hopefully when I'm actually playing the game, the mechanics of it are sound. I just don't love the hook of it necessarily. So we'll see how it goes, but I'll definitely be picking that one up and covering it here on the podcast. Moving ahead, the next one, January 24th, this game's been delayed a couple times. Forspoken. This is coming out PS5 and PC. So I don't think Taylor will be checking this one out. But yeah, Kirkland, do you have any interest in Forspoken over there on your PS5?
You know, unfortunately, I feel like this game, it peaked when I first saw that gameplay for it, and then ever since then, it's just been on a slight decline. And I don't even think it's because of particular delays or anything like that. It was just, holy shit, this is a crazy cool idea for a world and whatnot. And I think that initial gameplay just really blew my mind with how good it looked. But then, I don't know, just stewing on it a little bit more, I don't know what it is. I just lost my magic a little bit for it. So, yeah, as of right now, I'm not really scratching the bit to it. And, that could change with some stellar reviews or maybe just big word of mouth. Everyone's just loving it. That could definitely sway me over. But, yeah, just ever since that initial announcement, I guess, that was where I peaked, and then ever since then it's just been a slight decline for no real reason. Just, I don't know, my interest just is kind of falling out of it.
Yeah, I don't think the trailers have been the best. I'm kind of the same as you, where the initial pitch, first trailer or two, I was kind of intrigued, but then the more I've seen, the more kind of checked out I am on it. So I think at this point I'm kind of waiting to see what reviews are like. I know Travis has had some interest, though I think some of the recent trailers haven't done it for him either. So who knows? Maybe he'll be picking that one up at some point. But it's unlikely because there's a lot of big games coming out in the first few months of the year. So I don't know if he'll make room for that one. But moving along to January 27th is when the Dead Space remake is coming out. So we talked about this a lot in kind of orbit with Callisto Protocol, which came out in December. Obviously, very similar games. Callisto Protocol was from Dead Space developers. This is finally coming back. So I don't think we've talked about Dead Space too much on the podcast at length, at least. So I guess Taylor first. Any experience with Dead Space? Are you interested in going back? Or if not, is this maybe a good opportunity if you jump in? Are you interested at all?
I have Dead Space 1 and 2. They were free games with gold at one point on Xbox. I have them, and I have yet to play them, and I really want to. I know I've been spoiled in certain components. I've seen the cutscenes of some grotesque kills and stuff like that. But as far as the story goes in general, I don't really know it very well. But I really want to immerse myself in this. And this being a remake, I'm torn between this or Callisto Protocol because I really want to play Callisto Protocol.
Callisto Protocol, not getting the best impressions, even from Dante over here on SideQuest, he was like, I played it for less than 2 hours, took my Steam refund, and I was out of there. He did
no
not enjoy
kidding.
it. So I would be wary of that one. Dead Space might be the better way to go.
My wow.
I was pretty shocked when he told me that for sure. Yeah.
Wow. Okay, well that's good to know then. Dead Space.
How about you, Kirkland? Where are you at with Dead Space?
Yeah, Dead Space. I feel like I might have told this story on After 9 once, where the first time I played Dead Space 3, like the demo, it was out on like PlayStation 3 or whatnot. I couldn't even get through it. It scared the shit out of me, and I'm like, what is this Dead Space like genre? It is way too scary for me. So for that reason, I never really had the cojones to get into it. My dad, I think, bought like Dead Space 1 on Xbox 360, so I played through a little bit of it, but again, it just had that fear factor on me that it is a really freaky game, and it puts you in situations that you're just like, it's setting you up to get scared, whether it's a jump scare or just putting you in these situations, which is what they should be doing for a horror game. But it was just getting a little bit too real, I think, for me at the time, and I haven't really revisited it. And I mean, I'm very interested in just I guess like the story to it, because it absolutely is terrifying. But I don't know, because I haven't like gotten through those games. I'm really not just itching for, I don't know, nostalgia reasons to jump back into it. But it's cool that this is coming out, because I know it definitely has like the fan base backing it, a lot of big cult followers. So maybe I'll let my dad know that this is coming out, because he definitely was man enough to get through those titles.
Yeah, I'm really curious to see how this one does. I mean, a lot of the time these remakes are put out there to see what the reception is like, and if people really like it and pick it up and it makes a lot of money, then that's the clue to them, like, okay, let's bring this series back, let's get a new game going on there. I mean, maybe they'd go the route of remaking Dead Space 2 and 3. I don't know. I almost feel like this is like, okay, let's do the first one, see what people think of it, and then if it's big success, let's go on with a new game in the series, even though a lot of those original developers aren't there anymore. So I'm curious on this one. I think kind of from that Taylor perspective, like this being an EA thing, at some point this will come to EA Play and probably Game Pass. So I think I would wait until that time. Maybe that would be October, and that would be perfect. Check it out in the spooky season kind of thing. But this is definitely not day one for me, just because, once again, there are so many things coming out in the first 3 months that you really got to pick and choose. Especially a lot of them seem like they are going to be time sinks that I don't think I'll be picking up Dead Space here. Part of that, too, is because a game coming out just a few days after Season, A Letter to the Future on January 31st, is an indie game I've had my eye on for a while. It looks really cool. Almost kind of like Studio Ghibli sort of style world. And it seems like you're just a character who's cruising around on your bike and just doing photography and just like vibing in this really peaceful looking world. Maybe the story has a darker edge to it. I'm not too sure. But this one's been on my radar for a few months, if not a year at this point. It was supposed to come out last year, kind of got delayed out here in January. But I think this is probably day one for me. It looks kind of right up my alley. But I don't know if you guys know anything about Season, but any interest in this, or should we move along?
I love the art style. It's beautiful.
Looks great. Yeah.
I gotta Google this because this game sounds extremely familiar. Like we were all talking about it before.
It's been on. I don't know if it's been a Game Pass showcase or a Summer Game Pass. I forget where it showed up. Might have been even a PlayStation thing, to be honest. Maybe me and you talked about when we did that State of Play coverage that one time, Taylor. But yeah, it's definitely had a fair share of marketing for an indie game. I'm not sure even who the devs. I don't even know what they worked on previously, but
this was announced back in 2020, so it's definitely been a long time coming. Wow.
Yeah, I think it was just called Season for a while, and then they added that kind of subtitle to it, maybe give it more flavor. Okay, moving on to February 10th. This is a big one that I know everyone at GeekVerse is picking up. Hogwarts Legacy. We've talked about this a lot, so I don't know what else we have to say, but I think for all three of us, including Travis, all four of us, you could say, day one, I think we're all excited to play as a different house and see how that, changes everything and just get into it. But I don't know, man. The more I see about this game, and at this point I'm trying to like tone down how much I'm intaking. I want to experience it, without being spoiled on anything. But it seems like that Harry Potter game we've been wanting our whole life, that truly open world RPG, a little bit of slice of life. You can be evil, you can be good.
Torture people, yeah.
Torture people. It seems like it's got it all, man. So I'm very, very, very excited for this. This might be in my top 5. I don't know. I'll have to think about that. But anything else you guys want to say on this? Once again, I know we've talked about this game just a ton already, but any new thoughts on it?
Yeah, I think this is the this will probably be the first purchase of the year for me.
Nice. Good stuff.
Right at the top of the list. I'm very excited for this one.
Yeah, I just I want to be re-immersed back into this world by like in a game form. Me and Madison were watching the movies, and so I'm ready for it.
Nice. Good stuff. Moving along then to February 21st, Atomic Heart. Of course, I got skin in the game on this one. I'm an Adam Art caster. This game looks really fun. Just kind of an action, maybe a bit of RPG element in there. I don't even know really too much about it. I've heard that some of the recent trailers have been really good, and I don't even want to check them out. This is a day one Game Pass game, so I'm going to be checking it out, and I don't really need to see any more on it. I think it's coming to everything: PlayStation 5, 4, PC, everything. So be sure to check it out. But yeah, I don't know if I have too much to say about it, but it just looks like a fun romp. And if not, whatever, it's on Game Pass. I don't feel like I lost out too much.
Yeah.
Taylor, I know you have Game Pass, but you don't use the service a whole lot. To call you out there, are you going to be checking out Atomic Heart? Is this going to make it into your install list?
Oh, so many of these games, and this one would probably make it to the install.
First-person shooter, you love first-person shooters.
I know. It'll just sit there looking mighty fine, and oh my gosh, it's brutal. It's like a curse almost, but yeah, this is one that I actually would like to indulge, and the fact that it is on Games Pass is like even more enticing. And I don't have an excuse, Dylan. You got me by the by the cojones. I have no excuse not to try it.
Kirklin, anything to add on that one?
No.
Okay. So this might be the only console launch of the year, but on February 22nd, PlayStation VR 2 is coming out. Horizon Call of the Mountain is kind of the launch title for it. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of other games that have like a PSVR 2 version, but I think that's really the main that's the main new game, and that's, I think, the only first-party title in there as well. I know the other big one is Resident Evil Village is getting the VR version like that day, I think, is when it's coming out as well. So I know, Taylor, you don't have a PlayStation, so I don't think you'll be picking this up, but that's actually, admittedly, that's kind of our big blind spot on GeekVerse, SideQuest, whatever you want to call it. Like, VR is not something we really cover at all just because none of us own it. I know Taylor's had some experience with it, but Kirkland, any of these, there's not much in the launch window, but anything about this get you intrigued that you want to kind of get this VR2 headset going on?
Not really. I feel like it's one of those things that, if I was still living at my parents' house, single, just had like reasons to drop money on like random consoles or whatnot, I totally would just be getting the PlayStation VR because I think there's enough in there that has me intrigued. But because of my life situation, it's just like, I can't. It's not really a viable purchase. So yeah, I mean, one day I'll probably get my hands on it just because eventually it'll be getting cheaper, more accessible, and just the things that they can do with it will just get crazy and crazier. But no, it's I don't know. Maybe the barrier to entry is just a little bit too high for at least me right now.
Yeah, I think this is one of those things where I just feel like, unfortunately, GeekVerse cannot be your place to cover like VR stuff. A lot of other gaming outlets will just get a headset sent to them from PlayStation or something like that. I'm sure that makes it a lot easier to do coverage of that kind of content. But for me, I mean, I'm looking to get a PS5. I'm probably going to get one at some point in the new year here, but I don't think I'll be making that stretch goal of extra however many $100 to get the VR add-on. I just, not really for me. At some point in the future, I'll dump into VR when there's like 100 great games I can play that from all the previous years, but unfortunately it's not going to be checking out early on here. So sorry about that for the viewers. I do feel like, once again, it's a blind spot of ours. Moving on, February 23rd, I wanted to bring this up. I feel like this is a Kirkland game. Kirkland, did you play The Forest back in the day?
I did, actually. I got it like fairly early on when it was like in that like alpha early access or whatnot, and just being blown away by what it was, because I feel like that initial game engine was like very impressive. It definitely was buggy, but at least for like, again, like that was so long ago now when that first came out. And I know they've added tons of things. And then I was just looking into this because it's like Sons of the Forest. I didn't really I don't know, tie the two together till I clicked on it, but like, can you quickly tell me what this is?
I really don't. I don't know. It's a sequel, but I don't know what the pitch is of like, here's what's new. Like, I'm sure it's just kind of a new setting, new enemies. Like, maybe it kind of takes all that additional content you were mentioning and kind of legacy contents and into here and then add some new stuff. So I'm not really sure, but maybe it's just kind of got to the point where the Forest has been out so long now that, to keep the company afloat kind of thing, they need to get another SKU out there, something fresh that they can get people to buy in again. So yeah, Sons of the Forest, which is kind of a funny name for a sequel to this, because once again, as you said, it's like not super clear when you put the name of the first game as like the last word of this new game. But how about Taylor? Because I know you're kind of into this sort of game. Did you ever play the Forest?
I don't think I ever played.
I feel like this is
Forest.
kind of a cryptid sort of thing, right? A little bit of cryptid energy to it, Kirklin, would you say?
They would fit in there for sure.
Yeah, I think it's a Taylor game, man. You should probably check out the Forest. I don't know if you need to check out Sons of the Forest as your first.
It's probably on Game Pass, I would imagine, hey? Like the first Forest?
I don't think so. I don't think I've seen it on there.
No, I don't think so.
Feels like a Game Pass type of game.
Yeah.
Did the Forest come out in when did it come out? Like
years ago, man. It's been a long time, yeah.
Interesting. 77% off on Steam right now, I think.
Oh yeah, the winter sale, right?
Yeah.
So this one's coming only to PC. Who knows if it'll come to console later? I forget if the original Forest was also. You played on PC, Kirkland?
I got it on PC. Yeah,
I can't remember if it
one
came
of those
elsewhere later on.
I remember too. It was one of those that it was kind of like an early adopter to just like having a VR version. Like even back when it was in early alpha, and it was just like, okay, I don't have VR, but that's kind of impressive that they just have that, that feature enabled already. And I don't know, I feel like because I had enough fun with that first one, I could see myself possibly checking this one out. At least if I have my old buddy that I used to play the Forest with, it's the type of game I feel like is kind of limiting if you're playing single player mode, but it really shines when you have another buddy. I think it has upward it's not just 2-player co-op. You can actually have a good crew going. I only have my one other buddy that we were playing with, but we had lots of fun just making our little shelter and our village and whatnot. So yeah, because I had enough fun there, I don't know. This is at least on my radar now.
Mm-hmm. Good stuff. Moving along, Kirby's Return to Dreamland Deluxe on February 24th. This is coming to Switch, of course. So this is a remaster of a Kirby's Return to Dreamland from I think it was on the Wii. I think this game looks great. I really like what they've done for the remaster. It kind of has a cel-shaded look to it a little bit. It looks really cool. I really want to pick it up. Me and Muds have really enjoyed playing our Kirby games in the last year here. Forgotten Land was a really fun co-op experience. My biggest hold up with this one is that it is an $80 ass game. It's it's crazy to me that they'll get away with it because I will probably still buy it if me and Muds kind of split the cost on it. But I don't know. It does look like a lot of fun. It seems like beyond the just general gameplay of it, there is a lot of mini games and things like that you can do to keep you busy with it. So I could see myself picking this one up just because we've really enjoyed playing these Kirby games in recent times. I wish the price was less, but whatever. This is what Nintendo does. So, any Kirby thoughts, Kirkland? I know you had a good time with Forgotten Land last year.
Yeah, I definitely had lots of fun playing through that with Shay. And I don't know. I feel like I had fun playing that for the co-op experience and obviously doing the review with you, but I don't have enough Kirby nostalgia to just justify dropping $80 on this remaster. Who knows? Maybe down the line, if Shay and I are looking for just another Kirby adventure, because she really likes the character of Kirby. So, just initially I feel like we're not gonna be rushing to it.
Fair enough. And then closing out February, another 24th date here is Octopath Traveler 2. So I don't know how I feel about this one because I still haven't beat first Octopath Traveler. It's tricky for me once again just because of that timing window. I know it's probably going to be a long game. I really like a lot of stuff in that first game, but I also have some issues with it. So I'm still undecided if I'm going to be picking this one up. I think before the year ends, I will probably pick it up and check it out, but I don't know if I'll be playing it at launch. Just so many other things to do, but either of you guys interested in Octopath Traveler at all?
I'm very intrigued by that first one. It's one of those, again, I've seen gameplay footage, I've seen screenshots, and I love everything that I've seen, and I feel like it would be up my alley. But you know me with video games. I feel like I'm gonna buy it and it's just gonna sit there and I'll stare at it and be why haven't I jumped into it? Game. It's definitely one that I eventually want to get to, but just not rush into it.
Taylor, anything from you on that?
It reminds me of again, not like I don't know, but like gameplay wise, but just when I look at it, it always reminds me of like Fire Emblem, even to like a slight degree for some reason.
At
I
least
don't
the
know
cover
what it
art for
is.
sure.
Yeah, it's the
Yeah.
cover art, yeah. But again, it's another game that's on sale on Steam.
Oh, there you go.
Well, I'll throw into a big Taylor game here. Will it finally release on March 9th? Skull and Bones. Taylor, what % chance are you that this is the final date and it doesn't get delayed again?
March 9th. I'm gonna give it a 9% chance.
9. Oh my
9.
God! Wow.
This game though has, for me personally, really just turned it around, because what started as just being a team deathmatch, you have a fleet of ships or you have a pirate ship and you're up against other ships, kind of a thing, in this like basic arena area. Cool concept built off of Black Flag, but it's not really a justifiable $80, $90 game. What they've done now, and allowing you to kind of create your pirate, walk around in ports and stuff like that, just really kind of expand on the actually being a pirate game. I'm really intrigued by this. The delays are really a buzzkill, but I am much more becoming more inclined to want to drop full price for this game, or like full money, because
I really want to hear your thoughts on it. Really, just
It's
selling
me.
selfishly, I really want to hear you talk about this game. How about you, Kirkland? Any chance you're? Well, actually, first of all, what is your % chance? Do you think this is coming out on March 9th?
Yeah, I'll say 70%. I'll be
Okay.
the
I'll go
optimist
80.
here.
I think it's
80?
gonna happen.
Yeah.
I think it's gonna
Yeah.
happen.
I feel like this is one. It was just definitely a meme because of all the delays, and it's like we're never gonna see, or this game's never gonna see the light of day. But I will say, like that gameplay feature that they had, it definitely impressed me. I think the game was more impressive than I was expecting it to be. So, you know, it like definitely give them credit for that, being able to at least deliver that showcase. But I just don't think it has enough to really pull me in there, unless again, like I'm just hearing really positive things. That's just saying how much fun it is, because I love me a good pirate adventure. Assassin's Creed Black Flag is definitely one of my favorite Assassin's Creed, just because of like the pirate elements to it. I had lots of fun with that, but who knows? Maybe that pirate niche is just in the past for me. But I don't know. Maybe I'll get my hands on it and it'll reemerge. But I don't know. I don't think it'll be in my top 5.
Yeah. This is interestingly, so PS5, Xbox Series, PC, of course. Also here, I have that it's coming out on Stadia, which Stadia recently, like a few months ago, was like, yeah, we're shutting down, and because of this, legal probably reasons, they're like refunding everyone who purchased it and every game you purchased through Stadia, which is insane for that they're doing that. But I'm curious if Skull and Bones is actually going to come out on Stadia, a console that's doomed to close within a few short months after it comes out. I feel like it would be to their best interest to stop working on the Stadia version and just really focus on those other versions to get it out for March 9th. I think that would be their benefit.
I feel like they really made a push for that at the beginning when they were like showing off Skull and Bones at the start, that they were like advertising, hey, we're playing this on the Stadia or something like that.
Like before the Stadia was out and everything, right?
Yeah, because Stadia had the Ubisoft Plus like membership that we all wanted on other consoles and stuff, right?
Right.
Yeah.
That's funny. So yeah, there you go, Skull and Bones. Yeah, for me, it's just like, God, I don't know, watch a gameplay video of that, and just like the vomit of fucking icons and text everywhere is like, I feel like I would get a headache if I just like boot this game up. So I just want to hear Taylor talk about it. That'll be how I play the game, is by talking to Taylor about it. The week after March 17th, Bayonetta Origins, Cereza and the Lost Demon. This is a Bayonetta spinoff. Shouting it out here, I don't think any of us are Bayonetta heads, so I'm going to skip over this. But Star Wars, this is going to be our little Star Wars pocket here. So the only, I think, Star Wars game that has a date is Star Wars Jedi Survivor, of course, March 17th. We talked about this very recently on the Game Awards stream, because there's a, was it the Game Awards stream, Taylor? I think there was a trailer there, right?
Yeah, there was, yeah.
So we talked about this, and surprisingly, Taylor and Travis weren't super excited for this, just because they have a lot of issues with the first game. I do too. I'm kind of more in the camp, though, that I feel like, okay, a second game, iteration, they got their engine. Like, I feel like the sequel is set up for what could be a pretty big success, so I'm pretty excited for this, and there's a good chance I'm going to be picking it up. Taylor, you sound like you were on the fence. Are you still on the fence, or do you think you'll probably still pick it up, even if you maybe have some reservations on it?
I know, I'll definitely pick it up day one.
Okay. Yeah.
But as far as it goes from what I've seen so far, like I'm not really jiving with it. I don't have much excitement. The storyline from what we've seen in the trailer is not really selling me, and I don't know. The first one was good, but I don't know if they can do that again. I hope they can, and I hope to be pleasantly surprised when I do drop full dollars for this game.
Kirklin, any chance you're picking up Survivor here? You've not played Fallen Order, correct?
I've played it.
Dabbled.
I have not played through it. I really love like the challenging aspect of the combat. So I was playing on like the hardest difficulty and like getting really satisfied with it. But of course, to my own dismay, I got stuck at certain parts and then got frustrated and then could have just lowered the difficulty, but instead I just put the controller down and haven't touched it again. But because Travis bought it and he had no interest in like replaying it because he already beat the story, so he just lent me his copy.
Gotcha.
So shouts out to you, Travis. And I do plan on getting through it. I feel like whenever I get really in that Star Wars mood, it's fun to have like a Star Wars game to just throw on, you know, if you're in that mood for sure. So again, maybe 4 years down the line, classic Kirklin saying. But as of right now, I don't know. I'm definitely not gonna jump into it till I beat that first one. And not a fan of the title. I really just don't like that title at all. It doesn't keep me up at night. But
Survivor or Fallen Order? Which one?
Survivor. Jedi. I feel like that could have been the name of the first one. You know, it's like why not just maybe it's tied to the story more, but I don't know.
It's a lot of words that seem kind of randomly connected. So let's have a little bit of conversation here about the other Star Wars stuff. So smaller side, but Star Wars Hunters is a thing that exists. There's Star Wars Eclipse, and then there's Star Wars, the Ubisoft open world game that we've heard about. I guess throwing to Taylor first, like what of those games do you think, if any, are coming out next year?
I have been thinking like, hey, we're going to see something Star Wars Ubisoft related at one of these E3s or like Video Game Awards shows since they announced it, and we've got nothing. And that was like 4 years ago? It was like 5 years ago? Like that was still like the Custard Dome, I'm pretty sure. They announced that Ubisoft
crazy,
like Star Wars game. Aside from that, like Star Wars Battlefront 3, like dead in the water at this point. I don't know what's going on there.
Is that announced?
There were rumors for it, but nothing is
Okay.
announced. So, and then
I don't think that's happening. Don't
no,
get your hopes up.
it's not looking good for Star Wars games or movies right now. So, I mean,
Well, Survivor's coming out March 17th.
yeah, but that's true. But I mean, that is something. That's like some breadcrumbs or something. So, I'll take it.
That's a loaf of bread. That's not a breadcrumb. Come on.
I don't know
You
if
have some
there's a loaf of
reservations.
bread.
That's a huge game, though. Respawn's one of the biggest developers in the game right now. Sequel to a game that's generally liked to love.
It's true. I don't know if I'd give him a loaf
I'll
of
agree with
bread.
you on the movie front. There's no movies,
bun.
of course, but
It's a bun.
It's a bun. Yeah, I'll give him. It's a bun.
it's a Christmas bun. Yeah. Okay, that's fair enough. Well, how about Eclipse? Any chance? I think Eclipse is probably still further down the road, but the fact that they've announced it, I mean, when Detroit came out in 2018, right? It's a studio, and that's been a long time. So maybe it is 2023 that Eclipse comes out, eh?
That would be. I think it'd be optimistic. I would hope so. I mean, the storyline that we get to focus on would be fantastic because me and Travis have immersed ourselves in the High Republic novels, and just to have a game that's focusing in that kind of era a little bit more would be amazing. Oh, I'd be totally down for that. So 2023, sign me up. Let's do it. But I think that's more probably like a 2024, 2025 kind of thing because we haven't even seen any gameplay at all for it. So.
Yeah,
like all we
true.
had was that cinematic. I need to see something gameplay.
That was a teaser trailer.
That was because that's the same thing, and I'm sure we'll talk about it later. The like Kill the Justice League, wasn't that something like we've only seen cinematics? We haven't seen.
We've got a
gameplay
little
for
bit
it?
of gameplay. Like
Okay.
this is breadcrumbs of gameplay. There's no bun or loaf to be seen. How about you, Kirk? What are your thoughts on these kind of nebulous? I guess there's Hunters as well. I consider that almost like a small little spin-off-y sort of thing. So I don't know if there's much discussion to be had there, but yeah, what are your thoughts on these Star Wars games in general? Do you think anything else that we can expect later in 2023?
I feel like the only one I can really think of, at least in the forefront of my mind, would be that Eclipse. And because we just haven't really seen too much about it, it is kind of hard for me to put my chips in the release window for next year. But again, like we're just entering the new year, a lot could happen. They could release a gameplay early on and then maybe release it in the fall months or something like that. And I think that'd be fantastic because I don't know, I haven't played a lot of those. What would you even call them? Like a narrative heavy game experience, like the Detroit. Like what genre is that?
I guess you would just call it like a narrative. It's not really an RPG. I would just say narrative game. Yeah, narrative exploration adventure game, something like that.
Yeah, and like I like the idea of them. It's just I'm not sure if they're for me. I feel like I tried to get into Heavy Rain, and I just I really couldn't get into that one. I put that one down fairly early on, but I think the Star Wars skin on it would actually help me a lot because I'm just really fascinated in that world. And that little like trailer thing that they released, was that last year's Video Game Awards? Where was that?
Oh man, it might have been 2 years ago at this point.
It might have been 2 years, yeah.
Wherever it was, it definitely caught my fancy. So I'm keeping an eye on that one, at least at a distance. And I don't know. I think it might be a lower percentage chance that it does come out this year, or next year, 2023. But I think there's a chance. There's a shimmer of hope.
Always a chance. Cool. With that, let's take our first ad break, and we will be right back. Okay, we are back. Next up, I'm going to show a little indie game here by the name of Storyteller. It's coming out March 23rd on Switch and PC. I don't know how to describe this one in a sentence, but it almost seems like a narrative sort of roguelike-y kind of thing. You got like a storybook, and you can change little details of it. Like, for example, maybe there's one element of a story where you can put a character in there, or you can put an object, and then the story kind of meshes to what you're doing, and it creates these funny little vignettes. I don't know too much more about it than that, but I really like the aesthetic, and it looks like one of those cute little story games. So, shoutouts to Storyteller. And then another remake here, Resident Evil 4 remake, PS5, Xbox Series, PC is March 24th as well. So, this is a big deal. I got to say, for me, I'm pretty excited, interested in this. I'm not 100% certain if I'm picking it up yet, but for me, Resident Evil 4 is like one of those big games that I've just missed in my life. I've never played it. And a remake would be a good time to do it, especially with the caliber of the remakes that they've been doing for, I guess, what was it, 1 and 2, right? Is what they did?
2 and 3, I think.
It was 2 and 3? And I think they did one like longer ago, farther back. But anyway, these remakes are like Game of the Year contender level games. Like they're really, really well made. And so to get that for what is probably considered like the best Resident Evil game is pretty exciting. So I'm definitely intrigued to check this one out. But how about you guys? Any hype for Resident Evil 4 remake? You think you're going to be picking it up at all?
I played the second remake and was completely blown away by it. I never played the original as well, so it was just a very fresh experience. It felt like a brand new game, and I just couldn't believe how good that game really was. Fortunately, I borrowed it from a buddy at work, and I just was taking too long, so he asked for it back. So I never got all the way through it. I was totally in it, though, so it was kind of sad I never got to finish it. And I heard really positive things, again, by the third one, although the only, I guess, downside is that it was just shorter than what the second game was. So I definitely think that Resident Evil 4 will deliver on just at least the quality side of those remakes. But again, I think I just got to pick and choose the games I'll be getting, and I don't think that one will be making the mix just because, I don't know, I played the original Resident Evil on PS1 way back in the day, so that's really the only one I kind of have nostalgia for. So these ones, it's not really enough to get me back on those stories that I haven't experienced yet.
Taylor, any thoughts on Resident Evil?
I have really wanted to carve out some time in my life to start from scratch and play those OG Resident Evils. They're all on, I'm pretty sure they're all on Games Pass, or at least I've seen them free on my console, some shape or form. And I really want to get into it. The only one I've really thoroughly immersed myself in is Resident Evil 7 Biohazard.
Yep.
In both regular and VR. That made me, I've never gotten sick playing a VR game, but that made me sick.
That would be terrifying. I could not handle that.
It's gross.
That's too real.
Too real. Yeah. So I really would like to go back and play some of these games. And the fact that they're doing these remakes is really enticing. I think Resident Evil 4, this is, my time.
It's the big kahuna.
This is your time. My time is now.
Next up is a game that was shown off at the Game Awards. Crime Boss, Rockay City, March 28th. This looks like a first-person kind of GTA-like sort of game, but it's got a bunch of kind of big actors in there. In the trailer, they were very much, to me, feeling like they were intentionally hiding the gameplay and just trying to show off all these actors and this setting of it. I don't know. I feel like I would be shocked if this is a great game. I just think I just feel like the gameplay is going to be subpar, and maybe it'll be a fun romp, kind of like a Saints Row sort of thing. But I don't know if I have many more hopes beyond that. But yeah, Kirklin, you didn't join us on the Game Awards thing, so I'm curious if you've seen a trailer for this or if you have any thoughts on Crime Boss.
I didn't see a trailer. I just saw like the poster, and I was just seeing these actors, and definitely had me curious. At least just seeing what this was. It's interesting. It's like that first-person shooter genre. So I don't know. I'm curious as to what it's actually going to be. Kind of like what you said, Dylan. Like just how it does. I guess money-wise and just like critically, ratings-wise. But unfortunately, I'm not going to be getting that, contributing to those numbers.
Fair enough. And then moving on to April 4th, we've got Meet Your Maker, which is a cool-looking game that we talked about once again. This is a game shown off at the Game Awards, but Kirkland, you might like this one. You should check out a trailer for this, where it's essentially picture kind of like a Doom sort of action combat with a little bit of puzzle in there. But the crux of it is that you can go in there and create maps in these big labyrinthal crazy maps, and then you can like download other people's levels and play them, and maybe people will make challenge maps, maybe people will make like more platformer ones or ones with more traps or different enemy combos and stuff like that. So it's kind of one of those games that is going to be all about the community support. I'm sure the developers will have a bunch of base levels in there, but yeah, whether or not the community supports it and makes cool stuff is going to be whether or not this game is good or not. But it seems really cool. It's a cool concept. There's obviously a lot of those kind of build maps for people online thing, but I feel like I haven't seen that for a Doom-like sort of gameplay loop. So I think this looks really, really cool. And it's definitely on my radar. I don't know if it's a day one yet, but this is coming to all the consoles, old gen, current gen. It's coming to everything. So there's a good chance I pick this one up. Hopefully it's got crossplay too, because then you just get a greater depth of maps and all that stuff. But yeah, I don't know if you're checking out a trailer there, Kirkland, but what do you think?
Yeah, it looks, I mean, everything that you just described on top of what I'm looking at in front of me right now, it looks really sweet and totally up my alley for entertainment-wise. So I signed up for the beta, so hopefully I get a key there. And
oh my God, that was the quickest beta sign-up I've ever heard in my life.
Yeah, it looks awesome. And if it's, anything of what you just described, I think that'll be lots of fun.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't really played a lot of those games, too, that kind of like Super Mario Maker, where it's like a community type thing, and I think maybe it's just because I'm not a Super Mario like fan for those OG ones, or maybe just the type of genres of games that it has been just hasn't really checked my boxes. But this one I would definitely have fun with. Yeah.
And Taylor, I'm only skipping over here because we talked about some of the stuff on Game Awards. But once again, if you want to chime in, please go ahead. But next up is a kind of a Dylan sort of game here, Mega Man Battle Network. A legacy collection. It's a bit of a mouthful there, but I love the Mega Man Battle Network games. Played a few of those on the Game Boy Advance back in the day. This is a day one pickup for me. I feel like this is one that I will buy and just play through these games. There's probably 7 or 8 games in here, so it'll probably take me several years before I finish it. I'll probably never finish it, but I think it'll just be kind of jump in, check out some of the ones I've missed, go back to some of my old favorites. I really like the gameplay of these is really cool, kind of 2D grid-based combat with deck building mechanics. Actually kind of ahead of its time in a way. Love the aesthetic, the story's interesting, and kind of a different vibe from Mega Man 2, where you're playing a character, and Mega Man is almost like a Tamagotchi, he has a little robot you can plug in with a USB port into random, just could be your computer, it could be just I don't know, at a bus station, a little thing, whatever, any technology you can just plug it into, and then it's a new level, and you can connect over the web. I don't know, it was really interesting games. I really loved those back in the day, so this is definitely a pickup for me.
Did you used to have a PET? Do you remember those?
Taylor,
I don't
remember those.
It was
Like
I wish I had an
Tamagotchi
image to
kind of
show
thing.
you. It really was, but it was for like X-Men, and then they
I had
had
like the Digimon one. That was what I was into.
Oh, okay. Yeah, me and my friends, there was totally like a couple years stint where we just all had our PETs, and then if you had the blue one, you had Mega Man. If you had the red one, you had Zero. I think that was his name. The
Okay.
guy with the sword. And then you would get like the data chips or whatever that would have different weapons, and then it would be a big deal because you would like trade them with your buddies.
That's exactly what Battle Network is. That's so cool. I love
Yeah,
that.
and it was so much fun, and and like once your little character dies, you had to like shake it to like revive him. So like just constantly people would be like shaking these things because your little Mega Man guy died. But yeah, it was a few years where like it was a big deal. It was essentially like the Tamagotchi thing where it just took over, and a lot of my friends had them. And yeah, it was such a fun time like exchanging those power chips or whatever they were called. But yeah.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of these kind of legacy collections too recently take that original pixel art and then do some weird blurring, or they try to up-res it and they change stuff. But what I like about this is like it just keeps that beautiful pixel art from those games. Doesn't really change that. Hopefully adds some more modern sensibilities and quality of life and more settings and things like that. But it seems like it's keeping that original aesthetic. But Taylor, did you ever play any of these Battle Network games? I think you would like them. I don't know. For some reason, there's something about it I feel like you would enjoy.
I honestly, I don't believe I ever have. Yeah.
You should check out this collection. It's cool.
I was trying to think of like what you were talking about there, Kirkland. Like PEs, is that what it's called?
PET.
PET.
It was like a pet. Yeah. It was like an acronym for something. I don't remember what it is now, but
yeah, definitely I'm familiar with it. Tamagotchis were like right before me. That was like my sister's kind of jam in school and everything like that. But yeah, I think I just missed it.
Yeah. Horizon Forbidden West Burning Shores. That's the kind of LA setting DLC for Forbidden West coming out April 19th. Me and Travis were not very hot on Forbidden West, so I don't think either of us are picking this up. The setting is cool. I would like to check it out, but at the same time, I'm pretty checked out of Horizon at this point. I also think this is exclusively PS5. I don't think the PS4 version is going to get this DLC, so I can't even play it yet, even if I wanted to. So skipping past that one to another big Taylor game here. Coming to every console, old gen, current gen, Dead Island 2. Once again, Taylor, what is the % chance that this sticks to April 28th?
I think this is probably a good 90%. I really do.
Okay.
I think that they went through their whole like dilemma before. I remember when they put out that first trailer a long time ago, and this game was literally just dead in the water. And it wasn't happening. First one was great. Absolute heck of a fun time playing that with my friends. But this one, I'm curious. I would like to kind of get back into this world and indulge, because Dying Light 2 just didn't do it for me, unfortunately. So this would be the definite alternative.
Yeah, are you picking this up? Do you know yet? Still kind of up in the air, maybe?
I don't think I'd drop full price on it, but I'd be down to... if it goes on sale, for sure. I could see this coming to Games Pass though, because I think I think Riptide was on Games Pass for a while, and then the first one too.
Yeah, I know they had Back 4 Blood on there. This seems like a very adjacent kind of thing. Like they would do that for the co-op element of it. I think that would be a great move for this game that has had that kind of tumultuous past. I think that would be a good way to kind of get a big audience for it, though. I feel like it will do pretty well either way, and it's not surrounded by. Okay, there's a couple things coming out pretty soon here that are pretty big deal. But yeah, how about you, Kirkland? Any chance you're picking up Dead Island 2? Also a Stadia pick, apparently. I don't think Stadia is going to survive till April, but we'll see about that.
Yeah, no, I don't think I'm going to get on this one. I missed the Dead Island train, so not really a soft spot in my heart.
Okay, and this might be one of the biggest, if not the biggest game of the year. May 12th, The Legend of Zelda, Tears of the Kingdom. Yeah, I don't know. I guess, Taylor, you've played some Breath of the Wild, right?
I've played some Breath of the Wild. Not religiously, but I've definitely immersed myself in it. Never beaten it. I'm so far behind on my Zelda games. It's just atrocious. Yeah, I need to get back into the grind and indulge. Yeah, so
fair enough.
Someday in the future.
How about you, Kirkland? Where you at with Breath of the Wild, or Tears of the Kingdom, all that?
Yeah, I've dipped my toes in Breath of the Wild, and I think I was really impressed with like the base mechanics of the game initially, and then I think I I don't know. I was probably in like a really open area and I was running somewhere and it just seemed like it was taking forever. So I think I just put the game down and I haven't picked it back up again. Like Taylor said, I'm also very behind on my Legend of Zelda games. I played the Wind Waker, I think last year or the year before. Whenever I had COVID, I was just like sick for a week and I just played through Wind Waker. Just because
like,
I
take me to
love
the
that one
ocean,
so much.
get me out of
yeah,
this COVID
exactly. I need some seawater in my nose. So, yeah, I don't know. I again, I've heard really amazing things. My one buddy Tyler, one of our Patreons, shouts out to you. He absolutely loves Breath of the Wild. So he's the one that I like borrowed it from, and he loves it so much. And he was just telling me all about it and how amazing it is. It's like, okay, yeah, I'll get in there. And then just one of those things where I never actually got really far into the game, but. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe this one will come out and just the hype will make me want to jump back on Breath of the Wild. But I'm not really itching to get back in there for some weird reason.
Good horse mechanics, though, right?
Good horse mechanics. They weren't atrocious. Yeah.
It's no Elden Ring. No Elden Ring on the horse mechanics.
Yeah.
Yeah. For me, I didn't play. I played Breath of the Wild late, not because I had COVID, but when COVID was occurring early on in 2020 and. Just had nothing to do. I was just sitting inside by myself. That was a perfect game to escape to for a good like month or two there. Spent like a good 70, 80 hours just frolicking around that world. And I loved it. Like even with all of that hype set up from like the years of people talking about this as like one of the greatest games of all time, like it definitely lived up to that for me. So I love Breath of the Wild. I'm excited for this, but I also I do not know how they're going to match the quality of that. You know, they're adding a lot of kind of sky mechanics. There's like a sky world equivalent. But if it's the same base world that I've already explored and maybe even just a couple differences, like, I don't know. Am I going to be able to have that same experience of discovery if I've had that so recently? I just feel like that's going to be really hard to do. And I understand for them to make a whole new open world is a big task. But at the same time, I think that would have been what it needed to do for me to have that experience with it again. So we will see. I would also love to see if there was a big improvement on the dungeons, because I think the dungeons, both the divine beasts and the shrines in that game, just suck. Like, just really, really bad design there. So hopefully that stuff's a lot better in this, and that's maybe more of a focus. Like, do less shrines that are good instead of making like 120 and only 10 of them are actually worthwhile. I would love if they went that route. Quality over quantity, hopefully. So we'll see. I mean, this is going to be a day one for me. I got to pick it up. I got to see. But, yeah, and there hasn't been too much in the marketing that has blown my socks off yet. I've played a lot of Zelda games. I consider myself a Zelda fan, but not a diehard. So, I don't know. I just love a good open world game. So I think that's why I'm so intrigued by this one. And then a couple weeks after that, on May 26th, it's going to be Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. I think for myself, it's the proximity of Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom. It's maybe my so-so thoughts on it, and I also know that I'm going to be out of town, particularly around that time, so I don't think I'll be picking this one up. But how about you guys? Any hype for Suicide Squad? I feel like it's a weird one because it's been around for a while. You know, got Rocksteady, but we haven't seen a lot of gameplay. Heard some Avengers comparisons, so there's some wrenches thrown into this one. But what are you guys' thoughts on this one? Any chance you're picking it up?
This one, like Forspoken, I think I just kind of peaked my hype on it like around that initial announcement window, and then just I think also there's comparison between that and Gotham Knight, maybe just because they were like talked about at the same time, and I told myself like out of those two I'd probably more likely get Gotham Knights, and I didn't get Gotham Knights, so
we all know how that went.
Yeah.
Check out our review with Taylor and Travis.
So yeah, I don't know. I think also just like that last trailer just really didn't move the needle much for me at all. So yeah, I won't be picking this one up.
Fair enough. Taylor?
Yeah, definitely go check out the review for Gotham Knights. I think that's a good plug, because that kind of steers me into the kind of how I think I'd feel about this game. Because I was not... Well, go check out the review. I won't say anything.
Fair enough. Okay, moving on. Once again, I mentioned VR is kind of our blind spot. I feel like another one is fighting games. I am not a fighting game guy, and I feel like none of us are too big into it, with the exception of Smash and like Multiverse is the platform fighters of it. But Street Fighter 6, this is obviously a big release coming out on June 2nd on all the platforms, it looks like. I really have nothing to say here. I've never been able to get into like the traditional 2D fighters, so not much for me here. But how about you guys? Any thoughts on Street Fighter?
Street Fighter is one that I really don't have much experience with. I've mostly just played like the Mortal Kombats of the world, and I don't know. Like when I got my PS5, Mortal Kombat, whatever the latest one is, whether it's X or whatever the title is on it,
Some number.
I got it and I had lots of fun with it. And maybe it's just like that nostalgia thing because that was one of like the original video games I played on like Sega Genesis was that original Mortal Kombat and Mortal Kombat 2. So I have that like little soft spot in my heart, but because that was Mortal Kombat, I feel like it's just tied to that particular IP. But who knows? Because like this is like this. Like Street Fighter, I guess 5 would have been the last one. Like I feel like it has a lot of longevity, and like there's still a lot of people playing that game. And maybe if this one comes out and it really just blows people away, who knows? Maybe I could see myself getting on it because I did have a lot of fun playing again like those arcade fighters for at least Mortal Kombat, but. I don't know. Maybe like I've never really like tried to get extremely good at it. I feel like there's definitely tiers to just people that play those types of games. Just people that like just get completely competitive. They get the what are they called? Like the joystick where you have like the button and like the little
the
like the
pad,
arcade.
all that.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't think I'll ever be at that level, but who knows? Maybe we'll see what happens around the release.
Yeah, I mean, obviously people come to this for the fighting mechanics, but this one does seem like it has a lot of cool stuff outside of that too, and how you interact with the game outside of like the battles themselves, and the aesthetic is something different. It's pretty stylish and all that. Taylor, any Street Fighter thoughts here?
I have had probably no Street Fighter experience. Like, I remember, I think Tekken had the bear that was popping off on one of our charity
Tekken's
streams.
got the weirdos for sure.
Oh yeah. Mortal Kombat, as far as like these platform like fighting games go, that's my experience. So
yeah, Street Fighter's got a lot of like ripped karate dudes and like women not wearing any clothes. That's like their shtick.
There's definitely a following for that.
Yeah. Moving on, then June 6th is Diablo 4, which still is coming to PS5, PS4 and 5. This is one of those weird things where like that Activision Blizzard thing is taking forever to go through with that Microsoft. So who knows if that is even going to happen, and if so, if it's even enough time contract-wise and how that stuff works, if this would be a Game Pass day one thing, if it's, first party at that point. So it's going to be a weird one in that way. Whether or not it's a Game Pass one, I think this is a day one for me. I really love Diablo 3. I know a lot of the hardcore Diablo heads will say that Diablo 2 is the best and Diablo 3 sucks and all this stuff, but man, I had so much fun with that game. I got like all the classes to max level, just played a ton of it. Had a lot of good time with my friends and all that stuff. I really like the art style that Diablo 4 is going for, and the things I've heard gameplay wise in terms of maybe going back to formula in a bit, in that way, but also inventing some new things, some new classes and new things with the open world and things like that. Like all of it seems interesting to me, so I'm definitely intrigued by this one. I also got a few friends who are pretty into Diablo, so I think I'll have some companionship here. But will I have some companionship from you guys? Any chance you guys are picking this one up?
I will probably most likely be getting this.
Okay. Yeah, you were kind of toying with that. I like it.
I Diablo 2, I fucking love that game so much. I never got like the remastered one. I think just because I still have access to like my original copy, so I never really had like a reason.
It still looks good. I love the art style of that game.
Yeah, exactly. And I love that game so much. Diablo 3, I was kind of late to the game on that one. I think just when it came out, I didn't have like a PC that ran it well, and then I got my laptop eventually got on there, and it definitely was a lot more simplified than I was used to. But I mean, I'm not like a super whatever like the dungeon crawler genre is. I'm not like super hardcore. Like there's what is it, Path of the Exile, or no, what's it called?
Yeah, Path of the Exile is.
Oh, is it? Okay, yeah.
Torchlight, Pillars of Eternity, all
Pillars of Eternity. That's the one I'm thinking of. Where
that's
it's
the
like,
Obsidian one.
Yeah, that one's like super. I think complex if I'm remembering correctly. And there's people that play those types of games who are like, oh, Diablo 3, that's trash. It's for babies and whatnot. But I think I just really am fascinated with the lore that the Diablo games have like gone through. Like I even picked up the first Diablo not too long ago, just because I never played through it, and I was just so fascinated with that world and wanted to play through that classic game. It's very dated when you compare it to the newer ones, but it's still like stellar. I would say so. And like when I saw that gameplay showcase and just like the world and the classes that Diablo 4 is gonna have, I was completely blown away. I think the art style that they have for it, like it's kind of going back to that darker style in a way, at least in my eyes, and I gotta give them credit for it, because I love just the dark gothic like vibe that those games have. And yeah, I think I'll definitely be getting that one pretty close to release, honestly, because I have a computer that can run it. And
Nice.
I don't know, I like you said, Dylan, like I also have a lot of buddies that will be probably jumping on that too, so I think my friends list will be looking pretty
Nice.
full on those
Can't
ones,
wait.
which
That'll
is
be so much fun.
it's such a special time when you have like a lot of different friends that are all playing like one game. You know, you log on. I feel like that's kind of what it was like back in the day in high school, middle school era, when like all your friends are kind of
Yeah.
either playing Call of Duty or like Diablo, whatever you guys are playing. So I
I
think
feel
that'll
like
be
it's a good one that you don't need like that set crew where it's like, okay,
No,
well,
yeah.
I'm only gonna play if I got like my crew of 4 and we're on
Yeah.
there. Like it's fun to mix and match because everyone's got like their different characters.
Yeah,
Or everyone's at
absolutely.
different points in the story. You go back, help someone like do this quest, or just do a team up for a bigger quest, things like that. Like I think it's a good one for mixing and matching too. Like I
Yeah.
remember even just had a couple friends who were into it, and they introduced me to other people, and then we'd play with them. And I don't know, like a very just the gameplay loop like feeds into like a community aspect in a big
Absolutely.
way, which is hard to do for most games, but somehow Diablo is able to crush that element of it.
Absolutely. I kind of cursed myself though, because I just like refused to not play hardcore mode when I played Diablo 3. So there'd be so many times I'd have a character that I spent so many hours on, and you're just like, I'm never gonna die. My character's so strong, and you're just like pulling creeps or whatnot, and then just one special enemy just like blows up and you just die, and you just
Yeah.
can never play that character again. And why am I playing hardcore mode when you get all pissed off about it? 'Cause
Yeah, it
it's
seems
the
like
thrill
this.
of it. It's the thrill
You get
of it.
stuck on like higher difficulties. It's like I don't know. I feel like I used to be like that, but now I'm like, I'd rather finish this thing
Yeah.
and like
That's
have
fair.
that complete experience, but different strokes and all that. But Taylor, you gonna be jumping in? You gonna be dungeon crawling with us? What do you think?
I never played any Diablo 2. I definitely hopped on Diablo 3 many years after it released, and I enjoyed it. I was doing the couch co-op, and I was playing a lot with Ruben too at the time. It's been a long time though since those days. I don't know if I would get into this one right out of the gate.
If it is on Game
but
Pass, you should jump in with us, even for a couple days.
If it's
and
on Games Pass, I'd jump in with you guys.
Yeah.
I mean, like I can be kind of a pushover. So if I see you guys like enjoying it, then I might indulge. That's what happened with the new Pokemon game. Everyone's enjoying. I'm like, oh
Yeah.
fuck.
Yeah.
So
That happens. And then closing it out, this is the last thing that I have with a actual date, June 22nd for PS5 and PC, is Final Fantasy 16. So I've talked about this a lot, that I'm not really a Final Fantasy guy by any means, but this one's really doing it for me. I like that they're going back to the high fantasy element. Instead of, I haven't really loved the art style the last 15, 14, whatever those ones are. But I really like the look of this one. The trailers are really doing it for me, so there's a good chance I pick this up. It's kind of in that nebulous era where who knows what else is coming out around June. If, maybe a big Bethesda thing's coming out, I think I might be going the other way. But if it's the only thing kind of in that big summer window, I could definitely see myself picking this one up. It looks pretty cool. I know Dante's really into Final Fantasy as well, so I'm sure he'll be playing it as well. So any Final Fantasy thoughts from, well, I guess particularly Kirklin, since it's coming to PS5. Are you going to be picking this one? Any chance you'll pick this up?
There's a chance I pick it up many moons down the line. I have Final Fantasy 15. I got like many hours into it, but I just hit a wall and just couldn't keep going. But from what I was experiencing in that game, it was completely blowing me away. Again, that was another one that Patreon Tyler, he said like that's one of his favorite games of all time. So he has a lot of love for it. So this is probably gonna be a day one for him.
Cool.
So yeah, and like the world that it showed off, it's totally like the title Final Fantasy. It captures that fantasy element, and I've only really played like other than Final Fantasy 15. I think it was Final Fantasy 2 for like the PS1 way back in the day when it very much had like a different skin to it. It was just like the kind of turn-based JRPG. So that's kind of my only experience with Final Fantasy. So it doesn't have a big place in my heart, but I was blown away with what they did for that Final Fantasy 15. So I definitely give them credit for what they can do for their games, but yeah, just not one that I'll really be accessing right away.
Mm-hmm. Okay, fair enough. So with that, maybe we'll take another ad break here, and we'll come back and talk about some of these things that don't have dates, but are said to be coming out in 2023. So we will be right back. Okay, we are back. Oh, this is the pet.
Oh,
that's the pet.
it.
So that's like the Zero version.
Man, those
like
battle
the red
chips
one.
look the exact same as they do in game too. That's amazing.
Man, it was epic. And there was some, I swear, like they did not balance those battle chips. There's some, like if you had it, it's just like a pay to win where it just like it covers like the entire grid. It is just ridiculous. But yeah, I wanted to pull that up just to have a visual for what I was talking about.
Man, I did not know there was like a physical version of that.
Yeah.
I love those games. I should have been into that back in the day. Maybe I can get one on eBay for $3,000.
Yeah, and it won't work probably.
Or you can dig one out of your closet and
It
brush
might
the
still
dust
be at my
off
parents'
it.
house. Yeah, I'll look for sure.
The battery's barely hanging on. Okay, so let's get into some of these games that don't have particular dates. We're just going to do these alphabetically. So, Alan Wake 2, said to be coming out next year. I loved Alan Wake back in the day. I wasn't really a big horror guy back then, but there was something about this one that really did it for me. And Remedy, of course, since then has really leveled up as a developer. Control was a huge deal back in 2019, I think, when that came out. So I feel like their pedigree is just a lot higher, and I like that original. But for some reason, I'm not really too hyped for this right now. Maybe I need to see more trailers, something like that. Maybe I need a story hook. I don't know what it is. I feel like there's a good chance I do check it out. It really kind of depends on the release window and stuff like that. But I do have some love in my heart for Alan Wake. But how about you guys? Any Alan Wakean thoughts here?
It was one of those where I like way back in the day I read about Alan Wake in an Xbox magazine in the the library at school. I was like, this game is amazing, and I just never got my hands on it, and I think I just completely missed that window. So
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, I missed the window too. Because that was 360 days, and I just didn't get into it, unfortunately.
Fair enough. Moving on, then Armored Core 6, Fires of Rubicon. So this was announced just at the Game Awards here, and they did say it's coming out 2023. Once again, it's insane from software, the output that developer has, that they released the unanimous Game of the Year, one of the greatest games of all time, many people would say, Elden Ring last year, and then, we got a new game coming out next year. We also got Game of the Year back in 2019, Sekiro. Like, their output is fucking bonkers. But yeah, they said this is coming out, so this is, of course, reviving one of their older franchises in a big way. I'm not too hyped on it just because I don't love the setting of it. I like the fantasy setting of the From Software games of past, but once again, this was at Game Awards, but Kirklin, you were not on us for that. So I know you're not a big Souls guy, but are you a mech guy? I don't know if I know this about you. You like mechs? You like that kind of setting?
Not many people have asked me about my mech experience, but I definitely was a Gundam fan back in the day.
I know you like Into Breach as well. That's kind of in there as well.
And yeah, like I just think even to an extent, Pacific Rim, Taylor, like those movies, they got a soft spot in my heart. I think just because of the big mechs. I think that's a pretty sweet concept, and honestly, I'm gonna be keeping my eye on this one. I
okay,
think
cool.
I'm not, like you said, I'm not a super Souls guy. I've tried to dabble, but I think I just got defeated too much and didn't. That like eureka moment in Souls games when you're just flying through it. I never really reached that moment. But
that moment that I've never had, but I assume people had. Yeah.
Well, I feel like all like Souls like players, they hit that moment eventually. Like if you beat through those games, you're gonna hit that eureka moment, and I never got it, so I never got through them. But I don't know, because this is such a different setting. And because of how beautiful like Elden Ring was, I just picturing what they could do in like the more mech scene, might be hard to stay away from. So keeping an eye on it.
Next up, Aliens Dark Descent. This is that top-down twin-stick shooter Aliens game. They've shown a lot of trailers that kind of give you the vibe of it, which is Aliens, so you already kind of know the vibe. Gameplay, though, they've shown very little. it looks cool. It looks interesting. I kind of want to check it out, but I got to see more gameplay and what the I don't know. I just want to see more of the expectation of it. I think this would be a perfect Game Pass pick with that co-op on there. But yeah, do you guys have any interest in Alien? I know you guys are both Alien fans, I believe, right? But I don't know if you're into this genre much. So what do you think on this one?
What was it? A few months ago, I dabbled into Gears Tactics, and that one kind of reminds me of this a little bit. When this first got announced, I was very much afraid that it was literally just a carbon copy of what was it? Fireteam Elite that came out not too long ago, and I was super bummed out about that because Fireteam Elite is definitely its own unique experience. Well, it's definitely fun and captures a good little bit of the alien world. Just to repeat it would be bad, but it's top down, which is cool. It has a very tower defense like vibe, and you're right, we need to see a little bit more gameplay, but this one really catches my interest. There's a strategy game that came out on consoles, Alien vs Predator Extinction, and I have that for like original Xbox, and I love that one so much. 3 different factions getting into it, and it's just such a cool world to explore, having this top down perspective. There's a lot going on, and I think to use it with aliens in this sense is great. I would love it if you could swap it up and not just be limited to the humans, but play as the aliens as well, and kind of do an equivalent like that, because they this franchise has always kind of excelled at that, where I think in 2010 Alien vs Predator came out and you could play as the human, the predator, or the alien, and they've always kind of immersed these different kind of perspectives. And even with Colonial Marines, you could play as the aliens and the Marines. So they've drifted away from that as of late, but I would love to see them go back to that. I think this game has a lot of potential, and I'm very interested.
Cool. Great pitch. How about you, Kirkland? Any interest in this one?
I think I'll be passing on this one.
Well, let's move on to another Taylor pick then here. Assassin's Creed Mirage. You know, it's funny. Obviously, Assassin's Creed were just spamming games every year. And now that they just take 1 year off, it feels like forever in between Assassin's Creed releases, where I always forget the name of the most recent one. Valhalla, Ragnarok. The fuck was the moniker again?
Valhalla.
Valhalla. Yeah, I don't know. I cannot remember for some reason. That word is tricky. But yeah, here they're coming back finally next year, probably with Assassin's Creed Mirage. Taylor, you're the Assassin's Creed guy. We talked pretty in depth about Assassin's Creed when they did that big info dump at the Ubisoft Forward thing a few months ago. But yeah, where's your hype level for Mirage?
My hype level is exceedingly high. I've been seeing Ubisoft drop these little comparisons between the OG Assassin's Creed and this one, which I really love. Just to kind of bring it back to its roots. We're dealing with just such a flamboyant transition of what Assassin's Creed used to be into this new wild RPG. Like the latest Valhalla crossover is Destiny, where your assassin is wearing Destiny armor, and it's just,
I did not know about that.
I'm not jiving with it. It's not for me. They did do a Monster Hunter one as well, which is kind of cool. That kind of fits a little bit, but yeah, I'm not super big on this kind of stuff. So I think that it needs to just take a deep breath. Mirage is a great reset point leading into this bright future of, codename Red, Jade, whatever
Hexay,
the fucking ones are. Yeah. So I sign me up.
Good stuff. Kirkland, you're kind of I'll say past Assassin's Creed fan, but anything about this new generation that does it for you? These new RPG open world kind of games?
I feel like I've kind of been just like resistant. I've been resisting my fade out of the RPG genre. I feel like just because they take so much time, it's hard for me to just like dedicate a lot of hours to jump into them, which sucks because that used to be like my favorite genre back in the day. But as you get older, things change, and I just don't really have time to jump into a world like this. And even if I did, I feel like I would just want to jump into, I don't know, possibly a different game or a different genre.
Sure.
But I have a lot of love for the Assassin's Creed game, world, like in general. Those earlier titles, I played like them all the way through and just got absolutely obsessed with them. I still have Odyssey, I think it's called, like the ancient Greece one, and I really love that one. But again, I feel like because I haven't beat that one, if I want to jump into Assassin's Creed, it'll probably just be that one again because I did really like it. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like I'm just kind of tapered out of it. Maybe when I retire in the future, jump back into the Assassin's Creed as well as the other RPG games that I've just yet to touch. But that list will be very, very high by that point, I'm sure.
Yeah, sign me up for Assassin's Creed Hexe. I'm interested in that one. I don't know if I'll be jumping into Mirage though. Okay, next up is another Ubisoft title here, Avatar: Frontiers of Pandora. I think I was pretty interested in this, and then I think Avatar 2 just soured me on that whole world, and I'm like pretty checked out now. So I think I'm officially out. But you guys love Avatar, you love that world. This could be that great open world Avatar game. So where are you guys at on the hype level of this? Throwing it Taylor first as the Ubisoft guy.
I remember when they showed that like reveal, and it's like, holy shit, these graphics look fucking atrocious. But I'm hoping that they've refined it a little bit, worked at it, because I really do want to immerse myself in this world, especially after Avatar 2. Holy fuck, let's go. I'm ready to just go full Turuk Maktau on this
Betray own
so,
race.
Yeah, I'm ready to do it. So let's go. I just we didn't see anything, and that was one of my predictions for the Video Game Awards, is that we would see something to tie in with the movie, but we didn't get anything. So I'm really wondering when that next we got
nothing of that Ubisoft Forward either. It's been
nothing.
Pretty dark for a bit here for some reason.
Yeah, so I'm wondering where the next like drop point is for some content for them. But hopefully we get the game soon.
Yeah, I mean, I mentioned on the review, I'm ready for that RTS Avatar game.
Sure.
So I'll wait for that one and pass this one.
Fair enough. Next up, I put this in here as kind of a Travis pick, but Killer Clowns from Outer Space, the game. Taylor, I think you're also a Killer Clowns fan, I think, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Any thoughts on this one?
I really enjoy that movie. It's definitely a cult classic, and to kind of get a game that's centered around the notion of like Friday the 13th, like Dead by Daylight kind of thing. I believe I signed up for the beta when they first announced it ages ago. So
you didn't get your code?
No, clearly not. If they even started with the beta yet, I don't know. So I'm not sure where that is, but yeah, I'm super into this. I really I just think the aesthetic is fun. You can get super wacky with the world and the kind of like equipment that the clowns use. I think there's just so much potential to have a good time with this. So
cool. Let's see. Next up, I'll throw over to the Friendly Neighborhood caster here. Insomniac recently announced that Spider-Man 2 is coming out next fall. They just said it. They didn't say what date. They didn't really say much else than that. It wasn't a trailer. They're just like, yeah, that's when it's coming out. So what do you think about that? It's Marvel's Spider-Man 2. Looks like you're going to get to play as Peter and Miles. Looks like Venom's going to be involved. Maybe some Green Goblin action. A lot of moving parts to this one. But you getting pretty hyped for this one?
Absolutely. I feel like it's, I don't know, because like it's not necessarily my frontal lobe just all the day, every day. Can't wait for Spider-Man 2. But once it gets close to that date, I'd be lying if I said this wouldn't be a day one. I mean, when that first one came out, I like took time off work. It was a whole event. I was so ecstatic for it, and yeah, just played it for hours upon hours, and absolutely loved it. And I'm ready for the sequel. And yeah, I think it's gonna be a fun fall for when this one comes out.
Nice, Taylor. I feel like if you were to buy a PS5, it would be because of Spider-Man 2. Would you say it's an accurate statement?
I'd be lying if I was not slyly gauging maybe getting a PS5 in the near future.
Oh my gosh.
It's crossed my mind a few times.
Travis?
Yeah. So
clip that. Someone clip that.
Yeah.
Yes, you are right. It's definitely heavily imposed because of Spider-Man. While I'm still waiting for the Spider-Man 1 to kind of go on sale on PC. If I do get, PS5, then there's the chance of maybe just waiting and biding my time to just get it on remastered on console. So we'll see what the next few months brings.
All right, I like that. Nebulous nature. Maybe me and you can do a 3 years later PS5 review if we both pick up our PS5s. From the Xbox heads, reviewing the PS5. Next up is Metal Slug Tactics. I put this one in here, another indie game. I have some, a good place in my heart for Metal Slug. I love the pixel art of this. And I really like the look of this game so far from all the trailers. I like the kind of small, contained battlefields with just pretty straightforward tactics-looking game, but this is kind of right up my alley, so I'm interested in that one. I might just skip through a couple of these kind of quickly, but Mina the Hollower as well. This is from the Shovel Knight team. This is kind of their next big game. They've had just tons of spin-offs of Shovel Knight, but this is their next new big IP, kind of that top-down Zelda, maybe Link's Awakening sort of aesthetic to it. Looks fantastic. I'm really excited for this one, and just excited to see what this does for the future of that company, because Yacht Club Games, like Shovel Knight, there's been like 10 Shovel Knight games, which sounds wild, right? But there's been so much spin-offs and other stuff. Shovel Knight has appeared in like other indie games as like a guest character and all that. So I'm wondering if Mina the Hollower is going to be in the next like big indie game character that's going to explode and do all these other subgenres, and I'm sure crossovers with Shovel Knight in some way. But yeah, very much looking forward to that one as a fan of those kind of Zelda games. Okay, we got two big Bethesda games here. Starfield, first off. Once again, this doesn't have a date, but what Microsoft said with their showcase last year was that everything that we're announcing here is coming out in the next 12 months. That was in June. Starfield was part of that, which would mean that Starfield's probably coming out sometimes before June, unless it gets delayed again, which I unfortunately think there is a chance of that, which, delay the game until it's ready, of course, but I cannot wait to get my hands on this one. Me and Kirklin did a pretty big podcast on this last year with SideQuest, or earlier this year, I should say, where we really talked about all the information we had with Starfield at the time. And truthfully, we haven't gotten a ton new stuff. I guess the showcase was after that, so we got all that info dump there, but I cannot wait for this game. This is, spoilers, probably my number one on the anticipated side of things. Just such a Bethesda fan. Can't wait for them to do a new IP. I love the space setting. Everything about this has me just absolutely intrigued. But yeah, Taylor, I feel like I haven't talked to you about Starfield recently, but where is your hype level for this one as a Bethesda fan as well as a fan of space and that setting? Seems like it's right up your alley, right?
It is. I read something that something about space travel that you will not be able to I think it'll be like more like fast travel between planets, that sort of thing.
Yeah, you can't from space fly down to the planet in real time.
Yes, that is a big buzzkill for me. That is one of my favorite things. Just with the low quantity of games that actually have that as a function.
No Man's Sky, yeah.
So. I think that it's something that needs to be kind of incorporated more. So, but I mean, as far as like Starfield goes, I think it's
watch the modding community figure it out in like 3 weeks or something like that.
Oh, the mods, they'll go up, they'll do something for sure. Yeah. This game definitely is just going to be a absolute hoot in a hat. I am very much excited to kind of immerse myself and just kind of see what the aliens are up to in this game.
Kirkland, how about you? It's been a few months since we've checked in on your Starfield hype, so where are you at?
That hype level I don't think it's changed at all. It's definitely been like hibernating, I think, just because of I don't know, I haven't been like looking into more articles.
It's been cryogenically frozen as we transport to the game.
But it's in the same state that it was before it froze. I was definitely going to be getting this before we did that cast last year, Dylan, but man, when we covered that information, it piqued my excitement. And although again, like it's not in my forefront, I once like that week leading up to it, that month leading up to it comes around, I'm definitely going to be itching to jump into Starfield because I have great history with Bethesda. I love basically every game that I've played by them, so I'm expecting to have an extremely fun time, and I can't wait to just see what the initial adventure just brings me, and then comparing that with you guys and everything, it's going to be so much fun.
Yeah, definitely. And then next up as well is Redfall from Arcane Studios. Me and Kirkland will talk about Arcane a lot next week, but for now, I mean, I just love everything Arcane does. Like every game they've released has been like my game of the year of that year for like their last like 4 releases. Deathloop, of course, the most recent one, and this is a separate studio or a separate arm, you could say, of Arcane, but they still have that same sensibility to them. The multiplayer element of this I'm interested in. I like the setting. I like the powers and the characters. I'm excited that this is going to be on Game Pass because that means a lot more people will be able to check it out at launch. And yeah, like that co-op element of it. Like I can't wait to jump in with Taylor because hopefully, since it's on Game Pass, you'll jump in there and check it out with me. Kirkland, I don't know if you're PC can run Redfall. If it can, I'm sure you'll be in there. If not, you might have to wait, I guess. But I just cannot wait for this game. Everything I hear about it in interviews or other trailers they've done is like, I already love Arcane. I love that they're trying something new as well, because I think they tried a lot of new stuff with Deathloop and it worked out. They tried a lot of stuff with Prey. Like, I feel like they're always trying new stuff, and that seems to work for me. But they still have that core of this great level design, player freedom, just fun game feel, powers, all that good stuff. So I'm super hyped for Redfall. But Kirklin, how about you on the Arcane guy of the cast as well?
Yeah, I think I was. I love Arcane games from what I've played of them. I think this is one that I was intrigued by until I saw that gameplay, and I was just like, okay, I'm buying this for sure.
Nice.
Like you said, I guess the only bottleneck would be my equipment, so I'll check the prerequisites and everything, because if it can't run, it won't run, and I don't have an Xbox.
You can trade Taylor your PS5 so you can play Spider-Man.
Yeah, there you go. We'll do an exchange system. But yeah, no, I think like on paper the concepts seem interesting, but yeah, once I saw gameplay and like something that I feel like is kind of maybe it spoke about a lot with Arcane games, but for me I feel like it's something that is a little bit underappreciated, is like the characters that they bring to their games are like very unique, and they have their own personalities. And again, like the ones that were showcased, like the characters that you will be playing as, they just seem very fun and very unique, and I think it'll be so much fun just having like those voice lines going off, because I fell in love with Cole playing through Deathloop, and I like some of like the characters from Dishonored have been some of my favorite characters out of all my video game experience. So yeah, I'm very much looking forward to this one.
Taylor, any thoughts from you on this?
It's been a while since I've kind of looked into anything like Redfall related, but I'm
a bit Left 4 Dead-y, right? It's kind of in that wheelhouse a bit, but like a more open world too. So it's trying to find some crossover between those two spaces mixed with the arcaneness of it.
Yeah, I think it just looks vibrant, colorful. You got the vampires kind of mixed into there too. Like I'm very much eager to try this out and do a few sessions with you and just see what this is all about.
Some sessions.
Cool. Some sessions.
Some sessions. Next up is a big Nintendo game, Pikmin 4. After all these years, finally supposed to be coming out, and kind of I think earlier on in the year. They haven't dropped a date on it, but I'm sure Nintendo usually does like a January or early February Nintendo Direct, or they'll probably put the release date out for this along with a Zelda trailer, all that good stuff. So we'll probably know about this one pretty soon. Never played a Pikmin game. Well, I've played a little bit of Pikmin 3 Deluxe. I've played like the demo on my Switch, so I've dabbled, but I've never played a game start to finish. I love the idea, and I've always wanted to. Once again, it's just that price tag. Will I be invested in it? What's the release date of it? There's still some questions for me. And I still kind of just want to go back and play the GameCube ones, honestly. That's I want to kind of start with the beginning of that series, and I don't think I'll have time to go through all of them before Pikmin 4. So not sure if I'm picking this one up. But do you guys have any experience with Pikmin? And once again, I feel like that's something we haven't talked about a ton on GeekVerse. Maybe it's just because we haven't played it.
Yeah, way back in the day, I borrowed Pikmin 1 from a friend, and
cool.
Man, I love this game or like this I guess IP so much.
Sure,
just like the concept is so fun. I have such like a soft spot for like the little creature type experience, whether you're playing like Ratatouille the video game or if you're playing Small Soldiers, which was like the little like green army men. They had like a series of games way back in the day that I had on PC, and man, I just love that concept, and I love the game of Pikmin 1. I never got into Pikmin 2. I heard, again, this is like way back in elementary school when I was talking to friends about it, but they just said it was lesser, and then I never had a console to like get Pikmin 3 when that one was out. So I've really just been like wanting like a reason to like jump back in there, whether they had like a remastered version or a new game, which is,
this is probably co-op, so this could be a good one for you and Shay to play together.
Absolutely, yeah, and like just the modern graphics that they have, or they'll be able to do on the Switch will be just a great time. So I definitely think I will be picking this one up, just because, like I said, I thought I kind of missed that wagon of like jumping back into the Pikmins, just because it's been so long since those older ones. So this is pleasant news for me. I'm really excited to get that. I'm assuming it'll be like a Nintendo Direct when they fully dive into it. So I'm excited to get all that news.
Taylor, any Pikmin thoughts?
I don't have much insight into the Pikmin.
Fair enough. Okay, Replaced also should be coming out next year. We talked about this a lot on the Game Awards stream. This is kind of that 2D, beautiful pixel art, dark and gritty sort of game. There was a lot of comparisons in that trailer we made to Batman, like 2022's Batman. There was just a lot of that energy with the vehicles, with the walking through the water and the flares and all this stuff. So it looks great. I think it's a Game Pass day one as well. So we'll definitely be covering that on the podcast. Moving along to Sea of Stars. This is an indie game that I like. Probably one of my most anticipated indie games right now. It looks like it's taking a lot of inspiration from Chrono Trigger. Just put on a trailer for this thing. Like, this game looks beautiful. Looks like it's got a lot of a huge scale to it as well. I know within the kind of the indie game community, a lot of people are looking forward to this one. So Sea of Stars is that one. And then lastly here on my list was System Shock Remake. I'm very intrigued by this because I love immersive sims. Of course, Arcane is definitely in that space. BioShock as well. And all those games always lead back to System Shock. That's the inspiration for all those games. And I've never played it. It's an older game at this point. I've never tried, so maybe it doesn't feel dated even if the graphics are. But I'm really excited for this remake. Hopefully it's well done because I got to check out the heart and soul, some of the early stepping stones of what is a genre that I really enjoy, and I just love any sort of immersive sim. So even if it's beyond that, I just can't wait to see what the systems are in here. I'm sure it'll be a lot of good stuff. So I'm very much looking forward to that one. I feel like Kirklin, you might be interested in System Shock.
Yeah.
Any thoughts on that?
Absolutely. Similar reasons that you mentioned, Dylan. I just heard about this game because it was such an inspiration to a lot of games that I loved. And it won one random Steam sale. I saw it was System Shock 1 and 2 for whatever the price was. So I picked them both up. I played a couple minutes of the first one just because it has a really weird mechanic where I don't know what year that game came out, but it's definitely dated now, so it makes sense they're doing a remake for it. I'm very much looking forward to that. But on the original, it's you had your mouse that you could actually select things on the UI and all that thing, but then you would click a button and then you would actually move your character, so it'd be balancing from switching your characters.
That's the original Elder Scrolls. God, that's hard to play those games, man.
So it was really hard for me to get into that. There's probably mods to fix it or whatnot, but sure. I mean the remake with the updated mechanics and all that stuff, I think that'll be a really great entry point into this world, because I've really wanted to jump in there because I've heard just the story alone is just iconic. I mean, obviously, if it's inspired all these other game makers, so definitely on my radar for this one. I don't know if I'll commit to a day one right now, but I'm definitely going to be keeping an eye on it.
Fair enough. Did you guys have anything else that I didn't call out? Of course, there's a lot of other games that exist. I tried to keep this to specifically things that either have a date or are said to be 2023. There's obviously a ton of other things that maybe will, maybe won't, but I tried to kind of keep it a little bit contained. But is there anything I missed from that list or just otherwise that you can think of?
Starship Troopers Extermination. This one is definitely
tell us about
something. This is a co-op, team-based defense kind of thing. I am so on board for this. I love the Starship Troopers getting all this love right now. With the RTS game that came out not too long ago, and now we're getting into a first-person shooter. Where you build walls and stuff like that to defend your base, and just got the hordes and waves of the bugs just coming in. I just watched Starship Troopers the other day, and that movie is quality. So yeah,
so good.
It's a Taylor favorite.
I can see myself getting this, Taylor, and
really?
Definitely for the co-op purposes, jumping in there. I have such a soft spot for Starship Troopers, and one that I feel this is such a good game for my dad, where it's just a tower defense type situation, waves, and he also showed me Starship Troopers way back in the day, so it could be a nice little nostalgia trip playing that with him. But
nice.
So I'll keep my eye on that one for sure. The other one I wanted to shout out was Risk of Rain Returns. Any Risk of Rain players here? I mean,
no, you've talked about it a lot on the podcast, but I didn't know about. I've never heard of Returns actually.
So what they're doing is remaking the first one. I don't know what really they're changing too much. More so, it's just it's coming to the Switch, which I think it's a type of game that fits so well in the Switch. It's just the type of game that you just do a run. It's once the run's over, that's it. You'll just you'll have to make a new one to keep going. So I don't know what that genre would be called, but very cool that this is coming out, because Risk of Rain was one that I used to play with a friend way back in the day, and by way back in the day, whatever era that was out, probably in high school, which seems like forever ago now. But and then they did the second one, which kind of like they made a new game engine for it, made it 3D, but this one, the first one, is 2D, and just a really fun game to play with like friends for sure, but also you can play it single player. And I think I just wanted to shout it out because I think it's just such a perfect pairing for the Switch. You know, if you're on the go, I think this could be one that, depending on the price point, I could definitely see myself picking up. Even though I already have it on PC, just to have like the portability of it if I'm going on a flight or something, this could be a fun one to just sink hours into. So yeah, that was really, I think, cool. The only other one that caught my eye to shout out. A couple other like remakes and remasters that I'm kind of like surprised to see on there. And I don't know, depending on what's going on, we'll see if I grip my little paws on them.
Which ones were those?
Oh, actually, no. Sorry, it's not even a remake. It's just Payday 3. So Payday 2.
Okay. Yeah.
I don't even know like the maker that made that game, but that was one that me and a friend of mine, we spent hours upon hours playing it. It's like a Left 4 Dead game, but instead of zombies, you're just like doing bank heists. And there's like certain missions that are stealth that me and my friend just spent hours trying to perfect. You do like one thing wrong and then you fail it, and it's like, oh fuck, let's try it again. And it was just I feel like we're kind of a low population of people that had fun playing that one, but still it was just such a great time. So it really surprised me that they're doing this third one. It's the type of game on Steam where I think they've released probably like 300 DLCs up until this point. Like they're still releasing DLCs for it.
That's crazy.
Whether it's like a new character pack or mission or whatnot, it's just crazy to me, like the longevity that this game has, because I didn't think it had a big population. But you know, because I just had so much. I've sunk so many hours into it, so I had to shout it out because it's taken a lot of time from my life. And then other ones being just like they're coming out in their full capacity, I guess, whether they're in like early access, one being Dune Spice Wars, which, I mean, Dylan, you did a review. I was actually on that episode where you did that review for Dune Spice Wars, and I have another friend that got it and has been having lots of fun with it, and I've heard like the previous updates have been good, so one that I added to my wish list. And I mean, it's probably on sale right now for the winter sale, but I'm just to jump into that Dune world, and again, it's that strategy type game, so I'm definitely keeping my eye on it, because I'm excited to get in there eventually, and it has like multiplayer now, so I'd love to play that with you, Dylan.
Yeah, I was kind of waiting for 1.0 just to get like the full feature set in there.
Right.
That's kind of I was waiting for. It gets more factions and all that, but yeah, I mean the foundation of what I played when it first came out, early access, of course, was like very solid. I really enjoyed it, so I'm definitely excited to jump into that one. Yeah, multiplayer would be a lot of fun for that one.
And then the last one I'll shout out here is Baldur's Gate 3. It's
I
am
looking
like
forward
beta
to that as well, actually.
It's in like beta, I think, right now, or whatever the early access is, and it's got like a nice price point of $79 or whatever it is, and I really want to get in there. I've never played a Baldur's Gate, but just getting into D&D in the last few years or whatnot, I've only heard like great things about the Baldur's Gate series, and from what I've seen of the third one, like it just absolutely looks beautiful. So and it's like, I think it's reviewing really well, so that full release will definitely get my attention, I think.
Gotcha. Okay, let's just jump right into our little top 5 most anticipated here. You can do this ranked, unranked, however you want to do it. Are either of you ready with your list?
Yeah.
Taylor nodded. So Taylor, what do you got? What are your top 5 most anticipated from the games we just shouted out there?
So I would put Aliens Dark Descent as like number 5.
Love
this
it.
one
Cool.
really has me intrigued. I would then put Jedi Fallen Order. It's my number 4.
Wow.
Yeah.
Interesting. Just because the Star Wars name?
Just because I need the game to kind of prove me wrong when I play it. That's where I'm kind of at. But it's still definitely worthy enough to kind of have me excited.
Sure.
Number 3 would be Starfield. And then number 2 would be Hogwarts Legacy. It's very much just, it's Harry Potter. And number 1 is Assassin's Creed Mirage. I just think that just speaks for itself for me.
Cool.
Yeah.
Love that.
Speaks for itself.
What do you got, Kirklin?
All right, starting number 5. This one, I feel like it's just an excitement pick. It just slid in there, beating Redfall. So Redfall isn't in my top 5. It got beaten out by Pikmin 4.
Oh, damn.
Yeah.
I shouldn't have brought it up.
This is, and again, like, because I just don't know too much about it, I'm just going off like my nostalgia hype here. But like, really, like, this is the type of game that I was like upset that I feel like I just missed the bandwagon, because I have so many fond memories of playing through that first one. So I mean, hopefully this one delivers, and I think right now this is probably just a day one for me, like guaranteed. So yeah,
nice.
Number 5, Pikmin 4, and then going up to number 4, got Diablo 4.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm very much excited to jump in there, and I think they did such a great job with that initial reveal. Number 3, got Spider-Man 2 in there. Yeah, can't wait to get my hands on that one. Number 2, I got Hogwarts Legacy. That's going to be so much fun to play through. Again, just talk about our different experiences with you guys and everyone else that plays that one. Number 1, the one and only Starfield.
Yeah,
I'm so pumped to get in there. That's going to be such a fun review when we eventually get to that episode.
I feel like we'll be reviewing that like 4 weeks in a row. Just
Yeah.
like, what did you do? What did you do this week at
Yeah.
Starfield? What plan did you find? You know, go do this
Exactly.
quest, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Okay, my list. I'm gonna go in reverse order here because I've already kind of spoiled a couple of mine. But Starfield's number 1 for me as well. I love Bethesda games so much. There's just a special sauce that they put on their open worlds that no other studio is able to capture, and to have that with a new IP, a fresh IP too. Because, you know, I've said this before. Like Elder Scrolls was like new for them in like the 90s, and then they bought Fallout, but like since Elder Scrolls in the 90s they haven't done a new IP. So I just can't wait to see the world building. I'm sure they've just been thinking about this world for years and years, so I can't wait for that. Number 2 for me is gonna be Redfall. I'm an Arcane guy. This is probably my most guaranteed. Like Starfield, there's so many kind of question marks on it still, but Redfall's like, I know I'm gonna love this. I cannot wait to get in there with some co-op. Number 3, Hogwarts Legacy. Once again, everything I've seen about it makes me have a lot of faith in it. Hopefully it stands up to it, and I can't wait to talk about it with all of you guys. I think the Starfield and Hogwarts are the 2 games that all 3 of us had on there. Number 4 for me, I put Spider-Man 2, which is maybe a bit strange because Spider-Man 1, 2018, love it. Miles Morales, didn't love that so much. But yeah, I think, going into 2, it being that true sequel, that bigger scale, being able to play as both characters, which I don't know if they've even announced that. I'm just assuming you can. There's a lot to be excited for there, plus the villains, so I'm looking forward to that. And then number 5 for me is a bit tricky. One thing we didn't talk about here is Avowed. This is Obsidian's next game, which is probably coming out next year, but I didn't put it on here because that's not technically announced to be the case, so I'm not going to include that here. It's kind of a toss-up between Diablo and Tears of the Kingdom for me, but I think I'm going to go with Diablo 4 as my number 5 pick here. Very much looking forward to this. The fact that Kirklin, that you're also excited for it, gets me even more excited. Can't wait to do some co-op jumping in there as well. I have another friend I was just hanging out with today who's also looking forward to it. So very excited to jump into some Diablo, and it looks fantastic. So there you go. Those are our top 5 2023 most anticipated games. Like I said, in a couple weeks here, we're going to be coming back and doing our predictions, for the ratings and all that stuff like we did last year. Kirkland, of course, won that last year, or this year, I should say. Congratulations on that.
Thank you.
And then, and then SideQuest will be back next week with the regular scheduled programming. It's been a bit weird with the Game of the Year stuff, a little time off with the holidays and stuff. But yeah, SideQuest will be back next week with a regular Tuesday drop. Me and Kirkland have some fun topics to discuss there, so that'll be a good time. And yeah, thank you everyone for listening. And we'll see you again next time. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
See you later.